So some of you would know when you still watch my videos is I've done a review already on the LWT package, mainly from Arcturus. Now, yes, it is amazing with having a beginner, having a lithium ion batteries, but let's be real. Most of us are intermediate to advanced players out there. So we don't need batteries. We don't need a lightweight gun. We don't even need sometimes an extra magazine. But what would happen? Now picture this. What would happen if Arcturus has no hold bars? They said, I want an M4. I want something with everything that I would need to go out there to go play with, the bells and whistles, and just go all out. We won't have to imagine that any further. As we can talk about it now. Let's see what Arcturus has done with their Trinity Armament series for this week's episode. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Airsoft Master. And today we're talking about is this magnificent collaboration between two big companies. One we know is Arcturus, well known for their PP19s and at the same time their M4s. And as well to that, one big collaboration with a big, massive popularity for the electronic components and MOSFETs is Gate. You put them together, what do we have? Is the Trinity Armament series. Now, let's go ahead and let's just make this for certain is this will be a long video as we have many features to talk about for this rifle. And as well to that, again, if you are looking for products like these, do check it out at airsoftmaster.com. But also don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment. Is something like this would be an eye keeper that you would want to have? And mainly, is this something that would be the go-to build? Is this also even possibly maybe the end of customization for tech work? Let's find out, but let's go ahead and move on to the video. So what would happen if you would go up to Arcturus and say, okay, no holds bars. Let's make something that is what we would say is the one-stop rifle, as there are many contenders out there that have done that before. But what makes it different with these guys if Arcturus said, all right, we'll give it a shot, but we're gonna need help with another company. And who else do we know to expect is Gate, coming out with the Trinity Armament series. Now, there are multiple types of variations out here. Mainly the one I have here is the 11-inch type of SBR. You do have your 70-inch PDW, and at the same time you do have is a 15-inch rifle version of all these in the Trinity Armament series with the same type of features. But then again, let's work our way from the front to the back. Starting off with is you do have is your fairly mandated orange tip. But underneath that you do have is a 14mm counterclockwise threading. So if you want to put like such as barrel extensions, suppressors, or even another flash hider that would change your mind, you do have that option out there. As we move on to the back of that, we do have is a rail segment fully metal, which has a 12 o'clock Picatinny rail that goes all the way back. That makes it somewhat monolithic, and you have real estate to put, such as I do, is a red dot and the Engol system. But it doesn't stop there for the rail, as you do have is a 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock positions of the Picatinny on the front end if you do need to put like flashlights or attachments out there, just in case if you want to make like a DMR build, an SPR, or anything in general. Behind that though, you do have is the typical lightweight setup such as an M-lock rail segments between the same positions of 3, 6, and 9, so to make it more of that lightweight compatibility. Again, many options out there. Say for example, you also need sling mount points. Well, good news is Arcturus did come up with that as well, having both left-handed and right-handed QD sling mount points on the back end of the rail. Now that we talked about the rail, let's move on to the receiver. And one thing that we do know about Arcturus is they're very, very durable from their AKs to even their M4s. The same thing can be said about the Trinity Armament series, as it is still the standard M4 full metal design. And of course, like we always expect, is we still have the same controls of being safe, semi, and full auto, with a functioning magazine release on the right-hand side and the bolt catch being on the left-hand side. Sorry, lefties, as there is no ambidextrous controls. But again, the key features are still there for the internals, which makes it a lot interesting. We'll talk about later on. As for the bottom of the lower receiver, we do have as an enhanced trigger guard. So if you do wear gloves, you're able to access the trigger no problem. And you do have is these stipple design ergonomic pistol grip, where it does help out with your stability of aiming down sight and just keeping control of the rifle. Again, very nice. And now we're on to the main feature of what we expect from this review is the internals. Now, what do we expect to have a collaboration between Arcturus? Well, Arcturus is known for is their CNC gear set. Mainly on this one, what we do have is a 13-to-1 CNC gear set to help power your gearbox. As the Arcturus gearbox is what we know and love, is yes, it is a quick change spring system with their ball bearing spring guide to be accessed in the back end of the buffer tube if you do want to change your FPS through changing the spring. Now, what did Gate bring to the table for the Trinity Armament? Well, let's start off with the simple basic stuff. As what we know is you do have is a sealed nozzle. You also have is to complement that is the Eon cylinder head. Alongside to help with the compression is the piston head Eon from Gate with the piston body, and this trigger will complement it as well to as what we know from the Nova trigger that would help out the Gate Titan 2 optical MOSFET system that is inside this gun. So we basically have a full built rifle with every single upgrade in here to match. Now, I have to admit, this is the most impressive thing to see out here. And I'm glad to say that able to review this is going to be fun. Why don't we continue on with the feature on here about having a Titan 2 in the Trinity Armament rifle? Well, surprisingly, we have it plugged in and now it's connected to my GCS phone, which stands for the Gate Control Station on here. What you're able to do is finally adjust it in comparison to some other situations, such as in the old Titan, you're able to do a 5-stage adjustment for the trigger pull, while the Titan 2 follows its same concept design as the version 3 of the AKs, where it has a very fine bar. What that means is you're able to do a more finer pull on the trigger pull to make it adjusted to your perspective. There's more to that, as the Trinity Armament has very good features on here, such as the magazine and bolt catch system accessory wire inside the Titan 2. What does that mean? Well, why don't I take it off the stand for now? And while I do that, let me just unpair the connection to the gun. Now, watch what happens if I take it off the magazine stand. It will consider it, before it interrupted me, it would consider it inoperable. So basically, if there's no magazine, it will not even pull the trigger, which does help out when you're off the field. But what would happen if I were to put a magazine in? Safe. As you can tell, as this is a very nice feature for getting off the field or keeping yourself out of trouble, this helps disable the system to basically prevent from having any other, for some chances of it going off when you don't need it to be. So this is a very good job from Gate on their Titan 2s. And again, a very nice key feature to have on here. So now that basically we have the gun connected to the battery, there's another key feature I want to show you guys about, is the feature that comes with the Titan 2 is the integrated Bluetooth connection. So for example, if I add the device, notice that I have an available connection for this one. This will go immediately to connect to the gun right off the bat. And now I'm able to do the general contracts and controls. Like for example, you'll see is I have the Trinity Armament Aeg. I can do the actual setup for the dashboard from here to go to the general context of showing the actual multiple functions, such as you can turn on magazine sensors, as I do have here, trigger, selector, bolt catch. there are two types of signals accessories that you can turn on and off depending on the certain aspects. Now, I will have to say forewarned in regards of the multi-selection ports is the sensor for the magazine situation and bolt catch can be an issue due to the fact that it can get in the way to certain magazines, such as turning on and off, and basically we're at a point where you can end up with certain issues. So the software is still kind of fresh. I would say give it some time, but if you do want the features such as actual cutoff or with no magazine, you can do so. And at the same time, the actual signal to catch with a bolt catch, just in case for release, you can do that as well. But for sensitivity and for those situations of using it for a normal gun, I would just usually turn this off and then have it where you can use it as a normal gate tighten. Another benefit of having that is you're able to adjust the certain recalibration, such as your selector, and changing it from being safe semi-auto to binary to even a 3-round burst and other situations. Another feature that you can do, which I do like in comparison, is the AK style recalibration of trigger controls, just in case to recalibrate to how short your trigger pull you want to have it. Again, nice little features that you do have with the Titan 2. Now, as per the hop-up, as we can find it through pulling the charging handle to reveal underneath the dust cover and the imitation bolt, what we do have is a rotary style hop-up to help fine-tune whatever weight BBs you do. To basically increase the hop-up, all you would need to do is just turn the dial towards the actual magwell. To decrease it, again, the opposite by moving towards the upper receiver. Again, to whatever weight BBs you want to use in this rifle. And now for the Trinity Armament series, for the stock, we normally would end up with, like the normal LWTs, is the crane style version to fit the lithium ion batteries. As for this one, we ended up is more of a slimmer style version. And again, I do like that as it makes it a lot easier to cheek in and aim down sight. But for battery space is where we would have to make the sacrifice. But the good news is for this is, again, for the stock, we do have is the same style where you're able to access the back end as easily by twisting the knob to counterclockwise to reveal the Dean's connection that's from the Titan 2. Now, what would normally fit inside the buffer tube, it would be as 11.1 thousand milliamp LiPo battery that would fit inside, and something I would recommend for the keep up with the actual optical performance with your Gate Titan 2 on here, and alongside the actual rifle from the Trinity series. So when it comes to magazine compatibility, I will say this without a doubt that you can fit most magazines out there, such as the EPM1s, normal mid-caps from the Arcturus lines, and at the same time, even the good, nice, hefty EPM1s, as they will feed no problems. Now, for if you are a beginner that wants to do something like this as well, don't worry about that, as the Lancer Tactical high-cap magazines and also G&G high-cap magazines will fit in here no problem and will feed just fine. I'm using 11.1 LiPo battery and 0.20 gram BBs. Very consistent. Let's see what happens if I put it in auto. So when we chrono the 11-inch Trinity Armament series, one thing we notice on average on the FPS, we're looking around is the 390 to 397 feet per second. Amazingly really good for the outdoors. But again, if you do need it to be more of the indoor friendlies, you can change it out, as it does have a very good quick change spring system by just removing the actual buffer tube away and getting to the spring guide, which is in the back end from there. Again, it's a very simple, easy, quick change spring system, like the same thing you would see on the LWT, as I'll put that on the how-to video on the description down below. So other than the Trinity Armament rifle and the magazine that does come with it, what else do you get for the actual box? Well, surprisingly, that's about it. Other than the Allen key to help remove certain body pins or anything when it comes to disassembly, and at the same time your front and rear sights inside. You'll also still end up with is your quality check of authenticity, such as your actual FPS of when they tested it out right before they put it in the box. Such as here, it says around the 390 to 399 feet per second, which is pretty darn close to what we have when we chrono the gun. You'll also have is a nice little swag patch on here just to show that you've been rocking a premier type of Arcturus rifle. And alongside you'll end up with is a catalog from MOS manufacturer themselves on the other new future investments you want to get from Arcturus or any other companies from Moss Manufacturing. So my final thoughts from Gate and Arcturus for this divine Mona Lisa work of art that we can consider in the community of airsoft. It's a really good rifle. I'm surprised of how well it performs alongside a 13-1 gear set that I really don't have to shim, and at the same time where customization is kind of a sad key point where we're getting these out the box in mass production. Sorry, techs out the world, this looks like our job is over. But I digress. The thing is though is, well, for having such a great ingenuity with this alongside with the Titan II MOSFET that has integrated Bluetooth already, a laser magazine bolt catch and cutoff lever just in case if something were to happen, you can have it more immersed into the training like situations, a full metal system out here, and alongside a well built and really high performance internals inside the gun. This is pretty much, I don't see any regards of drawbacks on this thing, except for probably the price. As during the time of recording on this, these rifles for the Trinity Armament is going around the sub $550. That is a lot of money, but is it worth getting? Well, for premier status on the Gate Titan II, you end up with 13-1 gear sets, a high torque motor 23 TPA on inside, alongside a sealed cylinder head, piston head, and a piston body, everything inside, and a quick change spring system inside this gun. It actually makes sense for the build that comes with it, which means yes, I do see it being a lot more reasonable for that price, and reasonable when it comes to being a go-to gun. Where I would say most likely I probably would pick up one for myself. And with that being said, again, what would you guys think about the Trinity Armament series? Is this something that you do see yourself collecting, or is it asking too much from Arcturus? But either way, again, if you're looking for products like these, do check it out at airsoftmaster.com. But other than that, my name is Mike. I'll see you till next time.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.